Who are we talking to?
Ourselves. Welcome back to the Mc&Marren podcast, and welcome back to Justice League June. We are wrapping up this week with Batman Part 2. At this point, we'll be talking about the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy, starting with Batman Begins. Batman Begins was released in 2005, 8 years after Batman and Robin was released in 1997.
There's no need to call out my favorite movie.
I'm just saying, it's been a while since they actually did it. Obviously, it's directed by Christopher Nolan. This served as a reboot of the Batman movies. Here we have Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne / Batman. Michael Caine as Alfred Pennyworth. Katie Holmes plays their love interest, Bruce's love interest, Rachel Dawes. Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox.
Morgan Freeman.
He's the guy. Alfred called the
Call
guy.
the guy.
Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul. Not quite taking awesome yet, but still pretty awesome Liam Neeson. Gary Oldman as Commissioner James Gordon. He's not the commissioner yet. He is just a police sergeant.
So, Police Sergeant Gordon.
Cillian Murphy as Jonathan Crane, a.k.a. Scarecrow.
There's a doctor in there somewhere.
And Tom Wilkinson as the gangster Carmine Falcone.
Now, I feel it's worth mentioning, there's a notable absence in this movie. Robin's not here.
Robin's not in the first two of the trilogy.
He's not in the third either.
Yeah.
It doesn't count.
Yeah. We'll get to it when we get to it. Anyway, so after the death of Thomas and Martha Wayne, again, young Bruce Wayne is grief-stricken because he feels responsible for bringing them to the alley where they're ultimately killed by Joe Chill. Years later, at Joe Chill's release, Bruce ultimately decides to get revenge by shooting him as he's leaving the court. However, Carmine Falcone beats him to it. Realizing that Chill's motive were just a symptom for all the crime and corruption in Gotham, and after going to a bar where Carmine Falcone owns the place and he sees a lot of police and a judge eating at his bar, he decides to travel the world and study criminology and different ways to fight crime. In his travels, he comes across the infamous League of Shadows, led by the mysterious Ra's al Ghul, who he learned martial arts and other techniques from. However, when Bruce learns that the League of Shadows intends on destroying Gotham, because Gotham is the symbol of corruption in modern-day society, I guess, Bruce decides to fight back, vowing to save Gotham and make it safer as a symbol. He ultimately defeats Ra's and becomes the symbol of a bat, because bats scared him as a child. As Batman, he uncovers a plot by Jonathan Crane, a doctor at Arkham Asylum. Happy now? Thank you. A doctor at Arkham Asylum for the criminally insane, as well as a revived Ra's al Ghul to make the citizens of Gotham turn on each other by using Crane's own fear toxin to cause mass panic. All right. So obviously, this is a complete reboot of the Batman movies. This time, the Batman movies actually focus on the psychology of Bruce Wayne and and actually explains essentially how he became Batman.
Also, no Joker yet.
Yeah.
We'll get to him later.
Spoiler alert, at the end of this movie, Batman and Commissioner Gordon meet on top of a roof of the police building to discuss a bat signal. And then Commissioner Gordon, it's Lieutenant James Gordon, sorry. I'm just so used to it. Lieutenant brings him on a case where he's like, and I can actually quote the line verbatim, armed robbery, double homicide, got a taste for the theatrical like you, leaves a calling card. He hands him a playing card, Batman turns it, and it's the Joker. So they ultimately... DC did it first, Marvel. So, I will say though, in the line of Batman, Christian Bale, he's okay as Bruce. I mean, he's good in the suit. He looks great. He looks great as Batman.
It's the voice, isn't it?
It is the voice. I mean...
Brody McBruderson, party of one.
I love the line where it's like, he's interrogating a corrupt police officer, and he's like, he strings him up, and he's like, where were the other drugs going? I don't know. I swear to God, swear to me. That's like my
I'm just
favorite
gonna point
line
this
ever.
out that, at least Batfleck got a date.
Got a date?
Ben Affleck's Batman.
But who did he get a date from? Wonder Woman?
Yeah.
They didn't get a date.
By Alfred standards, they did. And guess what? Alfred is the only measuring stick we use. Also, I cannot support this Batman franchise, this one, because of what he did to Alfred.
Well, it happens in the last movie.
I don't care. Michael Caine deserved better. Alfred Pennyworth deserved better. Everyone deserved better.
Yes. Okay.
Justice for Alfred.
Anyway, talking about the voice thing, because that is probably the most memorable part of this particular Batman.
One of the most memorable ones.
Specifically, Batman, the character, not the movies in general. But because he talks like this all the time, it's a little hard to understand what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
I love how yours gets progressively more Irish when you do it.
An Irish Batman.
But I was like, I'm thinking of the animated series where it's just like...
Kevin Conroy does it so seamlessly.
And Batman is just his regular voice, and then when he speaks as Bruce, it's slightly elevated. It's happier.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can tell it's the same guy, but if you didn't know they were the same guy, they would sound different enough.
Yeah. And also, Christian Bale, like, this is no issue with him. This is just a direction that the movies decided to go with. Bruce Wayne is comically played up as the playboy. I mean, in his first scene when he's returning to Gotham as, during his crusade as Batman, he goes to a restaurant and meets up with a couple people. They're actually talking about the Batman. And he brings like 2 European models with him, and the models start swimming in the fountain of the restaurant for some reason. And the manager of the restaurant's like, I'm gonna have to ask you guys to leave. And then he just ultimately writes a check. He's basically like, I'm buying this hotel and sending you some new rules about the pool area. It's just like, yeah, that's a little too over the top. But then again, we have that again in Justice League where it's like, how'd you buy it from the bank? I bought the bank. So I guess it's not really that different.
I mean, Batman / Bruce Wayne has more money than pretty much everyone else in the DC universe.
Yeah, I mean, he's the one that built the Justice League satellite, so...
And also, this is not from him hoarding wealth, because he actively spends a whole lot on charity. People just keep spending money and giving him money. Mm-hmm. So, despite him trying to spend all of it, he can't.
So, we talked about last episode, or we mentioned last episode, that the Batman movies, much unlike the Superman movies, they only whereas Superman movies stick to only really one villain, or maybe two. The Batman films tend to change up the villain every single movie. Which, to be honest...
Makes it more interesting.
And because Batman, in terms of DC Comics, has the most interesting rogues gallery of villains, and the most iconic rogues gallery of villains of almost any comic book character. I mean, Joker, Harley Quinn, Catwoman, Penguin, Two-Face, the Riddler, Scarecrow, Killer Croc. All iconic. Poison Ivy.
Mad Hatter.
Calendar Man.
Kite Man.
Mothman.
The Killer Moth.
Man-Bat.
Condiment King. And yes, that is a real villain.
Yep.
But the point is, Batman has very iconic villains, and it's actually nice to see when some of the lesser ones...
Polka Dot Man.
He's not really a Batman villain, though. Where some of the lesser-known Batman villains get some screen time, like the Scarecrow. Although he's not in the traditional Scarecrow costume that I actually really enjoy, but Cillian Murphy does a really good job as the character. He's very regal when he wants to be, and then he puts on the mask and he just pumps the inmates full of fear toxin and just loves to play on their fears.
Cillian Murphy is one of those actors who he's got range. He's got a lot of range.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people forget the range he has because they're so used to seeing him in whatever the last thing they saw him is. But I mean, he literally could play anything, full range. So to see him as Scarecrow go from, because you spend the majority of the time that you know him thinking of him as a respectable, albeit a little awkward doctor who just works at Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, if you haven't noticed, being a slightly awkward doctor who works in Arkham Asylum is almost a guarantee you're going to end up a Batman villain.
Working in Arkham Asylum is basically going to be like either you become a Batman villain, a victim of the Joker, or essentially an inmate yourself.
Yeah, it doesn't work out for anybody. But like for the majority of that portrayal, he's like put together, maybe a little awkward, but a normal guy.
Yeah.
And then
in the movie, he is the head of psychiatry in Arkham Asylum.
And then he goes so dark so fast that you get like whiplash.
Yeah.
You're just like, whoa. What the heck?
Because like there's this one scene where after Batman captures Carmine Falcone, in order to get the insanity plea, Carmine hurts himself and is is brought to Arkham Asylum, and he's inspected by Jonathan Crane. But it turns out they're in cahoots with one another, and Carmine Falcone tries to get the leg up on him. But Jonathan Crane, he comes in, he's all professional, all regal, and then as soon as he says, "Would you like to see my mask?" And we're just like, what the heck? And then he puts on the mask, and then he just pumps the room for a field gas, and he's just like, and they scream, and they cry, and Carmine just screams his head off, and then the next scene he just walks out like, well, he's not faking, not that one, like as calm as anyone can be, and it's just like, you just scared a man to the point where he's having hallucinations, and he's going to be committed to your asylum.
Guarantees business.
Yeah.
Now, it is worth... I really think they could have done more with the fear toxin than they did. Because fear toxin isn't just, oh, you see demons everywhere. It literally takes your worst fear and makes it appear to you real.
Yeah.
Which, for any number of people, could be any number of things. And seeing that on the big screen would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
But we don't... I guess it's because it's the first movie, and they're already pouring in so much money into the effects they do have.
Yeah. Also, the Scarecrow is not really well known to most audiences outside of comics.
Yeah.
Although I will say that once there's one scene where the Scarecrow is legitimately terrifying, and it's when the fear toxin's released into the city, and Jonathan Crane has gone full on Scarecrow by this point. He is just completely,
Jonathan has left the chat. Scarecrow is in control.
And he's riding a horse, and the fear toxin is taking over Rachel Dawes and this little boy. And they see the Scarecrow, and he's riding a horse. The horse rears up. The horse breathes fire, and the Scarecrow is just like, talking to the demonic voice, and it's like, okay, that is actually legitimately creepy. Although he is taken out by a taser in about 5 seconds, so I guess it kind of just goes the other way really quickly.
Yeah, so also, anytime in any way that they show the Justice League and Batman's list of ways to deal with the Justice League if they become a threat, and they make a big deal of, this is a complete disregard of trust. My guy, I deal with an insane person who dresses up as a scarecrow and uses fear toxin on the populace. What happens if Superman gets gassed? Suddenly
we get Injustice Superman.
And you don't want Injustice Superman.
Yes. And then, funnily enough, Jonathan Crane does actually make cameos in both in the sequel The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, but we'll get to him when we talk about the other films. But Cillian Murphy as Jonathan Crane is definitely one of the highlights of the film, as well as the main villain. Unfortunately, Jonathan Crane is not the main villain; he's a secondary villain. The main villain is Ra's al Ghul, played by Liam Neeson. There is a bit of a fake out because, in the flashbacks, when Bruce is training with the League of Shadows, you see this, played by Ken Watanabe, actually, this guy who's kind of like the stereotypical Buddhist monk guy with the mustache, and it's just like he's playing the master, and Liam Neeson is his right hand, and then it turns out that Liam Neeson is Ra's, and then he's using the League of Shadows and the Scarecrow to essentially cause chaos into Gotham. Although it is a little weird that Ra's is not using the Lazarus Pits that he's well known for in the comics, but again, that's kind of hard for a general audience to kind of get the concept around unless you know it from the comics.
It's also weird to have Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul, because he doesn't look like that in the comics.
No. Traditionally in the comics, Ra's al Ghul is more like, not necessarily Middle Eastern, but like very much Middle Eastern / Eastern European, and Liam Neeson is not that. But also, he did do a good job as Ra's al Ghul, though, I will say. I liked him. Also League of Shadows instead of League of Assassins. Yeah. But then again, with all the assassins from the League of Assassins, it's going to be kind of hard to talk about it. But the League of Shadows did provide a major plot point of training Bruce and gave him the inspiration for Batman. Which, again, we don't really see, we kind of talked about this in the Superman episode. We don't really see how the hero became a hero. We just kind of see that there's a tragic backstory, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're the hero. Or they're the superhero. It's kind of nice to kind of see how they came into being that character that we all know. It is interesting to see Bruce's journey from scared young man, angry adult, to determined adult, to try and use his pain and use his grief and his anger to make the situation better, instead of using his grief, his anger, and his guilt to become essentially the same guy that Joe Chill was to his parents by wanting to kill him. So,
what's the point of all those bloody sit-ups if you can't push up a log?
And let's talk about Alfred. Michael Caine is very enthusiastic as Alfred Pennyworth. He gets heavily involved in Bruce's journey. He provides all the quips.
Now, I'm a big believer that your Batman is only as good as your Alfred.
Mm-hmm.
To that respect, I think Michael Caine did a great job.
Yes.
Is he the best Alfred to ever Alfred? No. He is not the best Alfred to ever Alfred. But I'll tell you what, he's in the top 3.
Mm-hmm.
Took him a minute.
It's like there's only 3.
Exactly. He's not the number 1, but he's in the top 3. There's only ever been 3.
3 theatrical versions
yes,
of Alfred.
I'm not talking voice actors.
Yeah. Well, actually, no, 4. The Batman, remember? Andy Serkis is Alfred in The Batman. With Robert Pattinson. So he's in the top 4.
He's in the top 4. Ooh. Okay, so side tangential line. We'll come back to this in a minute. We'll come back to our regularly scheduled podcast in a minute. But who's the best Alfred?
Even though I hate the movie, Jeremy Irons is the best Alfred.
I'm gonna go. For me, it's gonna. You know what? Yep, it's probably gonna be Jeremy Irons, then the original,
Then yeah.
whose name is escaping me.
Michael Gall.
Yeah, that him. Then Michael Caine, and then Andy Serkis, and that's just because I don't feel like we got enough Alfred in the Batman.
Yeah.
I felt like it was a lot of Alfred, and like it was one of the first times that we saw like Alfred can fight, which we all knew it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to see more. I wanted more Alfred. I don't think we got enough Alfred. And they introduced that housemaid. It's like, who are you?
Well, I think that's a callback to the Adam West TV show, because in that show they actually did have like a maid with Alfred.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I wanted more Alfred.
Yeah.
Less maid, more Alfred.
To quote, I believe it's... I don't remember the exact name, but it's one of the animated movies with Damian Wayne. He goes, "Where are the other servants? I am the sum total."
More macaroni.
Yep.
More cheese.
My favorite Alfred, in terms of live-action movies, is Michael Caine.
Okay.
Okay.
In terms of live-action altogether, Gotham's Alfred.
Yes.
He was a good Alfred.
Because he had the right attitude. He wasn't quite old enough, I think.
Well, I mean,
but
the whole point of Gotham was to see a
It
young
was
Bruce
young.
Wayne, so we see a younger Alfred.
It's just the no-nonsense Pennyworth.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. It is very interesting to see how different people take on the role of Alfred, because Michael Gall in the first 4 Batman movies, he's kind of just the older butler that, you know, is wise in his own way, but very much like a grandfather, where he's just like, you know, I'm here to help, I'll do whatever, but, you know, if you need a kick in the pants, I will give you a kick in the pants. And then we see Michael Caine, who is kind of along the same way, where it's like, he's very grandfatherly, but at the same time, though, you do kind of understand where he's coming from, because he essentially we see him raising Bruce throughout his childhood, and he gets he kind of sees helping Bruce go through this as like a form of therapy, because just like, this is the only thing that he's able to do besides just, as you say, Tori, being Broody McBruceson all the time. So might as well just go with it. And then we see a combination of Jeremy Irons basically just like, I will help you, but I am over it already. And then same thing with Andy Serkis and the Gotham one, where it's just like, they're very no-nonsense, very dry, sarcastic, but they can fight and lay down arms if they have to. Because fun fact, actually, they did have a series called Pennyworth where it had Alfred's time in the RAF. Royal Air Force.
Hey.
As a
medic. And in Special Forces.
Yep. But also, fun fact from the comics, because you already know this, but in the comics, Alfred keeps guns in the house.
Yeah.
And if anyone is stupid enough to try and break into Wayne Manor, they will be shot dead.
Although, to be fair, he does use rubber bullets.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. But against Bane, though, he did actually use real bullets.
And he has no qualms about killing.
Which is why I prefer Alfred to the Batman.
He only doesn't do it when he knows Bruce is going to see it.
Yep.
Yes. Also, just before we return to our regularly scheduled programming, if you need more proof that Alfred is the true gem of the Batman line and the Batman story in all forms, the fact that Damian, Bruce's
biological son,
adorable child, and we're saying that sarcastically,
he's a
he
brat.
collects pets.
Yep.
Very weird pets, for the most part. But a case in point, there's a bat cow.
There's a bat cow. He has a Great Dane named Titus. He has a cat dragon.
But more importantly,
Alfred the cat.
he has Alfred the cat. Every other animal is bat cow, bat this, bat that.
Or like, Titus and Ace.
Or, yeah, okay? but only Alfred is revered enough by Damien, who is
new,
a hellion at best.
Yes.
Only Alfred is honored enough to be named after.
Yep.
So, I'm sorry. This is Alfred's story. Bruce is just a footnote, in my opinion.
Speaking of the Help, this movie also introduces Lucius Fox. For those of you who don't know, Lucius Fox is kind of like the... I'm trying to think of the term.
Tony Stark?
The Q for Bruce Wayne.
Okay.
He creates all the gadgets. He's the head of R&D at Wayne Enterprises. He actually did create this version of the Batmobile, which, to be honest, is okay. It's not great. I prefer the 1989 Batmobile myself, but anyway. But of course, when you have Morgan Freeman, you're going to get Morgan Freeman. He did the job well, and he did have some good comebacks with Bruce. Especially when he's like, Bruce is trying to be all sneaky about what he's doing this for, and then Lucius just tells him, it's like, Mr. Wayne, if you tell me, I'm not gonna lie, but don't treat me like an idiot. So in other words, he saw through what Bruce was doing, and he's just like, yeah.
He knows the numbers. He knows of okay, we did this, and suddenly Batman had it the next night.
Yeah. They actually reference that in the sequel, but we'll get to that in a minute. Well, actually, no, we'll talk about it now. So there's a dude who's trying to blackmail Lucius Fox to basically say, it's like, don't tell me you haven't seen the Batmobile on the evening news. And he's like, I want $10 million for the rest of my life. And Lucius Fox is just like, so, you think the CEO of Wayne Enterprises, a multi-billionaire Bruce Wayne, dresses up like a bat and beats up criminals, and your first rule of action is to blackmail this person? Good
Not
luck.
a great plan.
No. And then, to round out the great supporting cast, Gary Oldman as James Gordon. Perfect casting. I mean, he looks exactly... Well, I mean, that's more so the makeup or the effects, but it's just like, he looks exactly like Jim Gordon from the comics. And he has that personality, too, where he's just like, I'm here for the ride. I'm here to do the right thing, but also, if Batman tells me to do something, I will do it.
Also, Gary Oldman is always great at playing characters who are little unhinged. And when you live in Gotham
City,
even if you are Commissioner Gordon,
I would like,
you're gonna be a little unhinged.
if I may, and I realize as I'm saying this, I sound like the narrator from Rocky Horror, but I would like, if I may, to propose a psychological analysis of everyone who lives within Gotham city limits. I think anybody who lives there needs to get a psych evaluation by a psychiatrist who lives outside of Gotham.
Yeah. No Jonathan Crane, no Dr. Harlan Quinzel.
Okay, like, let's get a psychiatrist from, I don't know.
Or Dr. Hugo Strange.
Another state, maybe, okay?
How about Metropolis?
Another state, because I'm not entirely sure you're not crazy if you live in Metropolis either.
Metropolis is in a different state.
Okay,
yeah,
but...
technically Gotham's in New Jersey and Metropolis is in New York.
Oh my lord. You know what? The only people who argue about that are people from New Jersey or New York. The rest of us could not tell you the difference on a map.
They're basically next door.
It's like, what is the difference between... I mean, personality-wise, yes, there's a difference. It's like the difference between Virginia and West Virginia. There's a difference. There's a big personality difference. But if I'm looking at a map, I can't tell.
West is more west than west.
We get the idea.
Anywho, I propose that anybody who lives within Gotham needs a psych eval.
Yes.
By a qualified medical practitioner who lives outside of Gotham and outside of Metropolis.
Also, real question.
Where does Aquaman live when he's not Aquaman?
Atlantis.
No, other than that, where's his?
I believe his base of operations is in Maine.
Okay, someone in Maine.
Okay. They have killer clowns there too, but
That is a different killer
for
clown.
another time.
There's killer clowns at Atlantis?
In Maine.
In Maine.
Ah, I got the joke now.
I mean, there might be a killer clownfish. But tits.
All right, go ahead and finish your point.
Anyway, real talk here. Gotham University has got to have, like, instated background checks at some point. Because, like, all of our alumni keep turning into villains. We need to do that. Okay, if you're getting a science degree in these fields, we need to talk.
You're put on a list.
You're going on a list.
All right. So let's go ahead and talk about the next one. Obviously, Batman Begins was a huge success, and there was a lot of hype for The Dark Knight, mostly because of one person, the Joker. He was kept in a lot of shadow. There was a lot of not much information released about him until the image of Heath Ledger in the suit, in the makeup, was released. Now, I'm going to say this. When that image first came out of Heath Ledger in the suit and everything, I was not thrilled at all. I was not excited. I was like, what is this?
Too gritty.
This is really, really dumb. Where's the smile? Where's it? It looked like I had the same reaction to this one as I had to Jared Leto. I'm like, what is this? What is this? I am so glad that I was wrong, because Heath Ledger as a Joker is terrifying.
Yes, he is.
R.I.P. R.I.P. I mean, obviously the Joker always steals the show no matter what he's in, but it's just like, it became more about the Joker than Batman in a Batman movie. And I think we're all okay with that.
We were all okay with it.
Quick plot synopsis of The Dark Knight. So after the events of Batman Begins, due to the actions of not only Batman and Jim Gordon, but newly elected District Attorney Harvey Dent, played by Aaron Eckhart, the mob is running scared. Then a man calling himself the Joker offers his services to not only bring them back to their former glory, but also destroy Batman and all he represents. Chaos and shenanigans ensue.
Now, I do have a question. Why did they change... We start off with Batman Begins, which is awful, but then why did we suddenly go The Dark Knight?
That's what Batman is.
It is, but it's like, it's a very... It offers kind of a disconnect between the two, doesn't it?
Well, it's kind of also told, Jim Gordon says it at the end of the movie, where he's like, he's the guy who takes the fall. He's the one that he can be Gotham's guardian, but we can also go after him. He's not the savior protector. He's the Dark Knight.
Okay.
So, anyway, we can pretty much spend the rest of the video singing Heath Ledger's praises as the Joker, but let's just
talk about the pencil trick.
Let's talk. That one scene cemented him as, okay, this is a guy who is crazy, and dragged your attention, because as soon as I remember I saw the midnight premiere of The Dark Knight, and as soon as he did that, everyone was just like, whoa.
I was like, okay,
this guy
we need to take this guy seriously.
Yeah. But real quick, everyone's favorite Heath Ledger Joker scene.
Let her go. Poor choice of words.
Walking away from the hospital.
With the detonator?
Yeah.
That was improvised, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, he's trying to hit the thing, it's not working, and then all of a sudden, boom!
So that look of surprise on his face, and he kept going.
It's real.
Like, he's gonna keep walking.
Yeah. My favorite is when they're doing the bank robbery scene at the beginning. He's like, no, I have to kill the bus driver. Bus driver? What bus driver? Boom! And then the bus just runs him over. Obviously, we didn't sing his praises, but some guy who doesn't get enough praise as Aaron Eckhart as Harvey Dent, aka Two-Face, because he does play the character very well. When he's first introduced, he's very straight and narrow. He's aimed to take down the mob. He will do everything by the book. He even goes after Jim Gordon's unit, who works closely with Batman. However, we kind of can see his psychosis start to slip when they're trying to go after the Joker, and Batman, he's like, the Joker's like, if Batman doesn't turn himself in, I will continue, and Bruce is willing to turn himself in, and we see, Harvey Dent's just like, you can't give in, and it's just like we start to see that little bit, that sliver of Two-Face starting to come out. And then when the Joker kidnaps Harvey Dent and Rachel Dawes, which, by the way, Rachel Dawes is played by Maddie Gyllenhaal this time, not Katie Holmes.
Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
Upgrade, downgrade.
But we're not.
Horizontal grade.
Better, worse than Katie Holmes. I mean, to be honest, Rachel Dawes is kind of like the least, not necessarily the least favorite character, but he's like the least, well, not least important, but like on the totem pole of characters in this movie, she's kind of on the low end. I
mean, I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I was unimpressed.
So
she was there.
She was there.
But anyway, so the Joker kidnaps Harvey Dent and Rachel, who Rachel is actually dating Harvey Dent at this time, much to Bruce's chagrin. It's a thing. And they kidnap him, and the Joker eventually tells Batman the locations, but he tells them in reverse. So essentially, he tells Batman the location. He tells them the locations, but Batman goes after the location, thinking he's going after Rachel, and Jim goes after the location, thinking he's going after Harvey, but it's swapped. Batman finds Harvey, and Jim finds Rachel, but Jim does not save Rachel in time, and she gets blown up. Batman does save Harvey Dent in time, but the gas mixed from the bomb gets on his face, burns off half of his face, therefore Two-Face is born. So, but when it comes to Rachel, he is, he's all prim and proper, but then when it comes to Rachel, he is willing to bend the law to the nth degree to essentially it's the ends justify the means, and that is the start of becoming Two-Face. And then when ultimately Rachel's dead, Two-Face is born, he starts to flip the coin, and he's therefore Harvey Dent is dead and Two-Face is born.
Because it is the same thing every time whenever Harvey Dent becomes Two-Face. Following the law got you here in the first place.
Yep. And he even says that it's like the only fairness in an unfair world is chance. So that's why he flips the coin. However, kidnapping Jim Gordon's son to make a point is a little much. Well, I mean, it's on brand for Two-Face, but it's just like that's a little bit far to prove a point. But then again, the Joker did try to blow up a boat of criminals and a boat of innocent civilians, so what can you do? Anyone else have any other points about The Dark Knight before we move on?
Just that it's really a shame that what happened to Heath Ledger in real life.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, Heath Ledger, not too long after this movie was released, he died of an overdose. Accidental overdose. A lot of people were, a lot of behind-the-scenes stories came out of the film, of making the film, how he would lock himself in his room for hours. He had a diary that he had insane thoughts in. So a lot of people made the conclusion that this role essentially killed Heath Ledger, but that's not true. Unfortunately, he had a lot of other issues that unfortunately resulted in the accidental overdose that killed him. But yeah, it is a shame that what happened to him, because I think we would have loved to see him return as the Joker in the next movie.
Bane shows up and it's chaos. I would have loved to see Joker, Dr. Crane, everyone comes out and it's chaos.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there was a lot left undone for Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
He was a very talented actor. I mean, the challenge I issue, find a Heath Ledger movie where he did not knock the role out of the park. I'm not saying where the movie wasn't good, because The Brothers Grimm was not a great one.
Mm-hmm.
But every time he was acting, it was 100%. He always brought great performances to everything he did, even if the role itself was questionable. And I feel like there are a lot of characters left that he could have played, and it's not really fair, but it is what it is.
I mean, look at so.
I do think that, and this is we kind of saw a little bit of this with Jared Leto.
Mm-hmm.
I do not think there are certain characters, there are certain parts and certain roles and certain things that I do not feel should be given to method actors. Some actors do really weird things to get really into their roles. And I don't always think that is the best option out there for them. Mm. But you know what? I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't work at Arkham Asylum, and these are just my thoughts and opinions.
I mean, I remember when, after this movie came out, and I went to New York Comic Con the following October, the amount of cosplayers that were cosplaying as Heath Ledger's Joker. Like, I went to the costume contest. There were 15 Jokers all in the costume contest, all with varying degrees. And it's just like, you know, we talked about it. We talked about Jack Nicholson's Joker in the first episode of Batman. And I think it's kind of safe to say that Jack played him as, like, you know, that unhinged gangster, but also was like, he was really funny. He was a very funny gangster like Joker, but he was, you know, he was quotable, he was funny, whereas Heath Ledger's Joker is the other side, where, I mean, he's quotable, but if you met him in a dark alley, you run away. Mm-hmm. You do not want to, you know, if you meet him, you are going to die.
He's funny in that he's playing a joke on the world. Mm-hmm. He's the only one laughing.
And that's kind of the whole point of the Joker, is that, like, you know, the world's a joke, death is a joke, life is a joke, everything is funny. But they're only funny to him. Everyone else sees him as a maniac. But everyone else is straight man, and he's the funny guy.
Which, I mean, if you know you're in a comic book, and none of this is real anyway.
I mean, alright, so...
Also, last thing I want to talk about, Rachel Dawes as a love interest. Not the change in characters, just... is just a random person we're not going to really care about. Really? If you're going to use a Batman love interest, you either go Talia al Ghul or Catwoman.
Yeah.
Those are your options.
All the other love interests for Bruce have been kind of lackluster.
Because if you don't use those two, I'm thinking, oh, okay, is this like some random chick from his, like, Playboy side of his life?
Mm-hmm. It's like Bruce Wayne in the comics has had swaths of love interests. But the only two that have stayed a love interest is, like Holland said, Talia al Ghul and Selena Kyle.
Love interest / enemy.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Talia al Ghul, let's move on to the final film of the Christopher Nolan, or what people call the Dark Knight trilogy, The Dark Knight Rises, which was released in 2012. Now, Christopher Nolan did not initially want to do a third movie, especially after what happened with Heath Ledger. But eventually, he and writer David S. Goyer came up with the story. And I will say, overall, this movie, so in both Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, they really focused on the psychology and the mythology and the why Batman and why does this rogues gallery do what they do, why they do what they do. This one, they don't really do that. They just kind of In my opinion, this is basically if Christopher Nolan directed a action Batman movie.
Chaos.
Okay, so real quick, set 8 years after The Dark Knight, Bruce essentially went into hiding. Harvey Dent is being hailed as a hero. Jim Gordon is commissioner. The Dent Act has been passed, which essentially got rid of all organized crime. However, a new threat emerges. Bane, played by Tom Hardy, a disciple of Ra's al Ghul, makes his presence known in a big way by holding Gotham hostage with a nuclear bomb, trapping the GCPD underground in the sewers, releases all the criminals in Blackgate and Arkham Asylum, and exposes Harvey Dent as Two-Face, therefore destroying his legacy forever. As well as when Batman goes to confront him, he does what Bane is most known for, breaking the Batman. In other words, he beat Batman to a pulp and grabbed him over his knee and broke his back.
Like you do.
He then sends him to a prison in the Middle East while he essentially lets chaos run through Gotham. And then eventually Batman heals, which, to be honest, how do you heal from a broken back so quickly? But comic book logic. He returns to Gotham, and with the help of his new love interest, Selina Kyle, aka Catwoman, yay, played by Anne Hathaway, and Jim Gordon, who helps release all the cops from the sewer, fight back, eventually save the day, but in order to stop the nuclear bomb, Batman takes it out into the Gotham Harbor, it explodes, and therefore everyone thinks that Batman is dead. And that's the end of the movie. Oh, and by the way, a new disciple for Batman is revealed. Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays John Blake. But at the end of the movie, it is revealed that his legally given name is Robin Blake. So Robin still makes an appearance in a Nolan Batman movie.
Okay, now we have a few things to talk about. One, Talia felt kind of shoehorned in.
Yeah.
Talia was in this, by the way.
Yeah, she was shoehorned in as love interest Miranda Tate instead, and then is revealed that Talia al Ghul in the end.
Also, in regards to Robin, that's not one of the Robin names.
It doesn't matter.
You have an entire list of Robin names to choose from. You can go with Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake. Actually, that would probably be more like Tim Drake.
That's probably what inspired them to get the name anyway.
And instead, they went with John Blake.
Mm-hmm.
And not Tim Drake.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well. But actually, and also, in this movie is when Bruce essentially fires Alfred. You have something to say about that?
Ungrateful little twerp.
So, Alfred reveals to Bruce that Rachel wasn't going to go with him. So the whole deal with Rachel in the first two Batman movies was that Rachel was going to get with Bruce after he did not feel she said that they can be together if Bruce did not have a need for Batman. And originally they were going to do that in The Dark Knight, but then she died and Batman was still underneath the idea that Rachel was going to go with him. But then Alfred reveals that Rachel was not going to go with him. She was going to marry Harvey Dent, and Bruce is obviously upset and cannot, in his anger from Bane and everything, he essentially throws Alfred away. He essentially, you're fired, get out.
Ungrateful little twerp.
Yeah. Now, he does come back at the end, after Batman supposedly is killed, and sets up the Thomas and Martha Wayne Foundation, and Wayne Manor is opened up to be an orphanage, which, yay! But, yeah, Alfred essentially has very little to do in this movie.
Wayne Manor's always been an orphanage.
Ha 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 ha.
But dumb tiss.
I mean, he adopts so many
Okay,
kids.
please note that Freeze is looking at you like you've just made the world's most unfunny joke.
Yep.
Do you think there's a correlation there? I do.
Alright, so in the previous movie, we had Heath Ledger as the Joker. He cannot be topped, so Tom Hardy had a real uphill battle against him as Bane. However, the same problem we had about Batman in the first movie, we had with Bane in this movie, because he talked to a mask the entire time, and he's like, I was born in the dark. Ooh. Yeah. Now, yes.
If I had a nickel for every Batman villain that was also in the Peaky Blinders, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice.
Also, with that voice, it's a little hard to take him seriously.
Now, yes, in the comics, Bane wears a mask. But his origin is significantly different than it is in this movie. So in the comics, he is sentenced to essentially a prison in like the Costa Rica or like the Jamaican Islands, and he bases his mask off of a wrestler. Whereas in this one, he is a disciple of Ra's al Ghul, and the reason why he wears a mask is because his vocal cords were damaged when he was in prison. Yeah, not better.
Also, the reason in the comics that Bane wanted to break Batman, on top of him being a criminal and Batman being an enemy of criminals, is that Bane has a fear of bats too.
Yeah.
And by breaking the bat, he will overcome his fear.
Well, when he was a child,
Maybe.
when Bane was a child, he had a hallucination where he saw his future self, and he said, "You must rise up," and the enemy is a bat-like creature, and therefore he took it as Batman being the bane, the bane of his existence, hence the name. Ha 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 ha. So that's why he went after Batman. So, but yeah, I mean, Tom Hardy, you had a tough act to follow. You did an okay job, but ultimately, you can't top Heath Ledger as a Joker.
No.
And Talia al Ghul was just shoehorned in the movie.
Also, when they introduced Miranda Tate, she was very much giving Poison Ivy vibes.
Yeah, she was. She's kind of like a, very much a seductress.
Which, we were like, okay, last time we saw Bane, he was working with Poison Ivy. So maybe it's the opposite this time? But no, not Poison Ivy. Not at all.
That version of
Nothing
Bane
to
was
do.
awful. Also, but although Bane and Talia al Ghul were not very good, Anne Hathaway as Selena Kyle was actually really good. I actually really enjoyed her. She pretty much played a seductress. She was very agile, athletic. She snuck in and out, although, to be honest, it was a little bit kind of hard to deal with the fact that she stole from Bruce right under his nose. But then again, Bruce was severely injured and out of practice at the time, so... I mean... Oh, no, the most stupid scene with them is Bruce decides to come out of hiding. He returns to, like, this gala event. Selena is there. They have a little dialogue. And then when he goes to get his car, he's like, must have lost my ticket. Your wife said you took me a cab home. My wife? And then you see Selena Kyle drive off in his car. Okay, first of all, Bruce Wayne is the most recognized bachelor in Gotham City, and yet...
If he were married,
you
everyone
don't think it would be
would know.
Wouldn't think that would be front page news, my guy? Secondly, really? You stole that right from under Batman's nose. Sure, why not?
It worked.
It was a really stupid scene.
I know, it was funny.
Ugh. But they do ultimately end up together. As it turns out, Batman is not dead. Bruce activated the autopilot, escaped, and is now leading his best life with Selena, traveling the world. And Jonathan Blake takes up the role as Batman, and then that's it. Supposedly. But, I mean, Bruce gives Jonathan the Batcave. Although, apparently, Jonathan also knew that Bruce Wayne was Batman just by looking at him, and I'm just like, how? He's like, oh, I was an orphan, I know the look, and, it's just like, okay.
I'm telling you, could have just gone with Tim Drake and we've been more... Because...
Tim Drake actually figured it out.
Tim Drake was the most obsessed person of Batman.
He is a Batman fanboy.
He was there the night that Dick Grayson lost his parents. Yeah, they added that. He was in the audience and saw it happen. And then he recognized Robin 1 perform a trick that only Dick Grayson could have done. And that tipped him off as like, oh, that's Dick Grayson. It is just, you had a Robin, you could have used him.
Yeah. Alright, so final thoughts on the Dark Knight trilogy.
It was a good trilogy. It had a good start, great middle, and iffy end.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree. It was like, the beginning was good, it laid down the foundation. The Dark Knight was fantastic. And then, unfortunately, I think The Dark Knight did its job a little too well, because it's just like, anything that could top that cannot be feasible. While The Dark Knight Rises attempted it, it was kind of it ended on a whimper instead of a bang. What do you think, Tori?
I cannot support this franchise as he fired Alfred.
Also,
spoiled little brat.
Also, just the whole Batman...
I think Selina should have stolen more than his car.
Giving up the cowl and living a normal life. Well, yes.
That's what Alfred wanted for you, but you didn't have to fire him.
Well, yes, that is what Alfred wants for the character in all versions of the character, but that's not something Batman would ever do. If he can, he will be Batman.
Yep, because he feels he has to do this. In the first Batman movies, and when Vicky Vale asked him that, she's like, because no one else can, and no one else will. He feels this compulsion to essentially right the wrongs of everyone in Gotham so that no one will go through what he did.
Slight bit of egotism there that he can...
Yeah,
he's the only
narcissism.
But he has billions of dollars, okay? He's the only one that can actually do it. Besides Superman.
So says he.
All right, well, that wraps up Justice League June. Thank you all for tuning in. Hope you all enjoyed it. What are we doing next week?
Next week, we are going to be kicking off America's birthday early. It is the semi-quincentennial.
Saying that 5 times fast.
Semi-quincentennial. I can't. But what that means, for those of you who might not know, America is turning 250 years old on July 4th, 2026.
America!
Yay! So to celebrate, we are going to do a Mystery Science 3000 version watch-along to arguably one of the best movies and shows about American history, the musical 1776, starring William Daniels, a.k.a.
Feeny!
Feeny!
As John Adams.
Feeny! Anywho, so come join us next week for the celebration of 1776.
All right, we'll see you then.
Bye!
Bye!